All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And as you could tell by the title of the video and the thumbnail, yes, the road seems to have been narrowed with Warner Brothers being sold. And we're going to talk about who's in play and what could happen here in the future. We're going to look at what some other people have talked about online since yesterday. But first, before I even get into the stills I'm going to show you today, I need to talk about something incredible that happened over the weekend. So, Zootopia 2 came out from Disney and made over about I believe it was $540 million globally over its first weekend. Now, it was a Thanksgiving Day weekend, but it made almost it was either $452 million or $542 million. I don't remember which. Okay. But it ended up being the fourth biggest opening of a movie ever. First, kudos to Disney for releasing this film and knowing what people want to go see. What happened to Superman? Superman was targeted to the same type of audience. What happened? This goes back to what I've been saying since day one. The interest is not there. Nobody cares about what James Gunn is doing. Now, I had a lot of people come out and say, well, Superman was PG-13. This was rated G. Doesn't matter. It was still targeted to the same group of people. Then people said, everyone goes to the movies on Thanksgiving. Everybody goes to the movies during the summer. It's where the big blockbusters usually end up. Okay? You cannot keep making these arguments. It was the same thing when Peacemaker Season 2 came out and they had the orgy, and people were saying, and I brought up the viewership between Peacemaker and Penguin because Peacemaker's viewership was terrible, and people said, well, it's a rated R project that only a certain group of people could see. So was the Penguin, but Penguin got like 10 times the audience. It's about the interest and what people actually want to see. Nobody was interested in a reboot of Superman. They wanted Henry Cavill back. I don't know how many times I have to say this or how many different ways I have to prove it. All the guntards came out and said only half the amount of people go to the movie theater anymore. And that's why Superman didn't get half the sales of Man of Steel and why it only got half the sales. That's not why. In fact, there was a report that came out from Cord Cutters that said movie theaters are not down 50%, they're down 30% since 2019. Not a valid argument, okay? So you're still way off. That means Superman underperformed if you go by the 30% number. But everyone swore it was 50%. It's not. It's 30%. Okay? There was no interest in this version of Superman. And people were like, here you are trying to relate it to Zootopia. Yeah, because I've been telling people, if you make the films people want to see, people will go to the theater. Had they made Man of Steel 2 with Chris McQuarrie, we wouldn't be where we are today. You would have had $1 billion film on your hands. People would have been interested in DC again. Instead, they gave us the most mediocre reboot they could possibly envision under James Gunn. So enough of that. Let's look at the sale of Warner Brothers and hope for a brighter future. Let's take a look at what I've grabbed since yesterday. First up, Mandevil posted, Isabella Merced's Hot Girl is an upgrade because her scene time was more interesting. Her corporate suit looks great. She fought against Kaiju along with Superman, Mr. Terrific, and Guy Gardner in Metropolis. She's so much like Kendra in the comics, and she killed the dictator. Upgrade or downgrade? That's what My Time to Shine Hello asked, and they said an upgrade in every sense. And I said massive downgrade in every respect. First of all, she's not a cold-blooded killer. What they did in Black Adam was amazing. What they did with her was cheap. She was annoying. Some of the scenes with her, the way it was filmed, were goofy looking. Her corporate costume looks like crap. There was nothing about this movie that had quality to it, especially Hot Girl. I think she was the worst part of the film. So here we go. Netflix's new bid to buy Warner Brothers is a mostly cash offer. The company is arranging a mega loan to be able to buy Warner Brothers. This comes from Bloomberg. They are now in the front, okay? David Zaslav is expected to narrow this down to one company here in the next day or so, or possibly announce the sale in a day or so. That's what some people are suggesting, and Netflix is at the top of the heap. But there is someone else who is also towards the top. So The Wrap posted, Monday marks Warner Bros. Discovery's deadline for another round of bids for all or part of its business. After reviewing any improved offers, the Warner Bros. Discovery Board may decide to enter into exclusive negotiations with one of the companies. And right now there are two companies that are at the top. Netflix is one of them. Sil Abdul posted, Paramount officially submitted that leaked bid that includes Arab support, including the Saudis and the co-owners of legendary entertainment Apollo Global Management. Paramount's offer, while largely backed by family-owned Oracle Corp, co-founder Larry Ellison includes debt financing from Apollo Global Management. Middle East funds are also contributing, the People said. So there you have it. The other company that is in the forefront is Paramount. And I'm going to talk about the benefits and the negatives of both at the end of today's video. So James Gunn has apparently been asked about the blue, gray, or the black suit when Batman gets revealed. And this is what James Gunn had to say on these fan requests. He said the most requested thing would be the blue and gray, then the yellow around the bat, and then the white eyes. But all of those things I find less important than the character himself, the writing, and the person who plays him. So again, we're not going to go for quality on the suits here. We're going to go for some gimmick, is what I'm reading between the lines here. And I honestly do believe that when we get Batman for the DCU, if it ever gets that far, that it's going to be like the 66 Batman. And yes, I actually enjoy the 66 Batman, but you have to understand that was from 1966. That was a long time. That was 80 years ago. Well, not 80 years ago. I don't know why I'm saying 80 years ago. 60 years ago. I don't know where 80 came from. That was a long time ago. We've moved on. We hear about moving into the future. It shouldn't be anything like what those heroes used to be like, 60 years ago. Charles Gasparino chimed in. He said, Scoop, Paramount Skydance makes the only all-cash offer for Warner Bros. Discovery by any of the three bidders. Netflix is an offer heavily weighted to cash. PSKY's rep says their offer includes foreign investors with cash, which, while it will need CFIUS approval, they bring the cleanest. And there was more. I think I grabbed it all. Here it is. They bring the cleanest deal of all three. They are looking to buy it with all cash, and they have an easier path through Trump's regulators. As I previously reported, the Warner Bros. Discovery Board is warming up to Netflix's pitch that it is the best steward of the assets, whatever that means. And as I reported, Trump regulators are skeptical that a Horizon merger that Netflix is proposing, layering the number 1 and number 3 streamer is legal from an antitrust standpoint. They remind me the AT&T Warner Media merger that was successfully defended in court against Trump back in his first term was a vertical merger, which has always been less of an antitrust concern. Comcast and Brian Roberts will have to come to the table with more money and hope Trump forgets about MSNBC to make it through round 2 of the bidding. Plus, its balance sheet restrained. Most people involved in the process believe this thing goes to a round 3 of bidding, but also that Warner Bros. Discovery Board has been very tight-lipped, so anything is possible, like an imminent decision. Story is developing. Also, apparently, James Gunn shuts down the claims that Steve Trevor is being cast in The Man of Tomorrow. You're going to see a lot of stuff that I post, and I do talk about it having not been officially confirmed. This was one of those things. James Gunn was asked about him being in it, and he said nope. That was his answer, just simply nope. So here we go from Cord Cutters News, and if you guys aren't following them, you should. I am a cord-cutting expert, and they cover all of this stuff on a daily basis. Pretty awesome stuff. It says, Warner Bros. Discovery reportedly plans to announce a buyer or ask for more bids this week. So let's talk about all of this. So here's where we stand. I do know that I'm okay with either Paramount or Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers. As long as it gets out of the hands of David Zaslav and the people who are in charge of it now, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me which company they go for. I also want the Snyderverse restored, so whichever company is going to make that happen is the one that I would like to see pick it up. And I do believe that Paramount would be the one that would be most likely to do this. Now, there were reports in the past saying that if Paramount gets it, and this is all speculation, there's no fact behind this, that they would keep Gunn on and Zaslav, and they would continue with the path that they're on now. But there's nothing to back that up. Even though some people claim there's simply no data to back that up. In that case, I would want Netflix to get it. I do worry about Netflix and films, but they have talked about how they will have to release stuff in theaters because that's the deal that studios have. So if they make feature films, they will have to be released in theaters. It's just the way the deal works. And so if they get Warner Brothers, they understand this. And you saw by those comments that looking at Netflix, they do feel like they would be the best steward of the company, which is interesting. But we have those financial hurdles that they talked about. So Paramount has, like they said, has the most clean offer. You have Netflix. And what ends up happening with this is the fact that Trump is pro-Paramount. He could possibly push for them to get this over Netflix. But they did state that there was something very similar to this with the AT&T merger in his first term that he really had no control over and couldn't change what he wanted to happen. So the point being, the ball's up in the air at this stage. Anybody who tells you otherwise has no idea what they're talking about. Nobody has any definitive proof of anything. Everything is hearsay. Everything has been hearsay. I just hope the right company picks this up. It gets done fast, gets done quickly, and we can move on from this silliness that has been brought in by James Gunn, his disgusting behavior in these films and in these TV shows, and get back to giving the fans the meat of these characters and what people want to see rather than what they think people want to see. We all know where the money is at this stage. They just have to put the right people out there to give it to us. All right, guys, there's my update for the day. What do you think about the sale information? What do you think about Zootopia making so much money? And it's just, the Guntards come out and give out all these fake arguments. I even had somebody come out and try to argue, well, you stand up for Fantastic Four. No, I never said that. Both Superman and Fantastic Four, both of them underperformed in the summer. It was dumb to release 3 big movies in 1 month. It was too much on the pocketbook for most families. And again, Jurassic World came out on top like I told everybody it would from the beginning. And so we just need to get past this, get back to, like I said, showing what people want to see rather than what the studios think people want to see. All right, guys, we will see you on the next update.